Welcome once again to Hunter's Entertainment. My name is Knoxweiler Burf, and I will be your game master and storyteller tonight. I want to welcome all of you. It's been a long road. We have worked very hard to bring you this offering, and we hope you appreciate the fruit of our labors. As with all things, we must keep our eye towards the future. And we hope that the glimpse in our story tonight offers you some hope, and that in the darkness that we are about to reveal, perhaps we expose some of the brighter parts of the human nature that are easy to forget. The things that we grasp onto, the humanity that leads us forward. We have 4 very talented role players with us tonight, and we are thankful for their time. We are playing Outbreak Undead, and if this is your first time with us, a word of caution. The game that you are about to witness will not be pretty. It will not be kind, and there will be no candy coating on the ending of this tale. What occurs is the fate that will be set forth by the player's choices. The world around them is harsh, and the choices that they make are the very choices of life and death that any of you could make were you put in such an extreme situation. There are no fairy tales here. No magic sword is going to save the day. It is not as simple as completing your quest and carrying on to the next adventure. This is different. Tonight, we have a few special offerings as well. We are currently running the Foreteller Scry program below. If you would like to aid the survival communities within the world that the players are currently struggling through, you may do so. Your choices do matter. And as you join us on this journey tonight, you will have the opportunity to see that someone in this world receives your aid. We have a number of amazing moderators here with us tonight, and I would be remiss if I did not thank them for their service. This couldn't happen without the support of JB Jara, and we wish to thank him for his service. Alex is also with us in chat and has worked tirelessly to ensure that all of you receive the most visceral experience possible. Hunter's Entertainment is a new Twitch channel, but we are ready with something that we feel is new and different, something that we can offer you during this season of darkness. I'd like to take a moment and introduce you to our players. I have already spoken with each of them, and we have discussed everything. While they do not know the specifics of this narrative, they do understand that intense situations may occur. We hope that you understand this as well. There are warnings about this content that you should read before you proceed. We want you to walk alongside us, but we will not lie to you about just how dangerous this path is. The players have given me their consent, and we are now ready to proceed. I would like to introduce them to you now. Melee Damage is with us. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your character, please?
I am Melee Damage. I am a musician and role player and DM, and I will be playing Abigail, a bit of a tough girl with an affinity for crossbows.
Thank you. Additionally, we have Markia McCarty, a familiar face here at Hunter's Entertainment. Markia, would you please introduce yourself and tell us just a little bit about your character?
Hello, I'm Markia. Um, for some upcoming things that I have going on, well, I'm a host, gamer, and big old nerd. I have a couple of Comic Con panels coming up that you would be able to check out, and then I also have a horror podcast since you're getting your October on. Look up Something Scary on all podcast platforms and on YouTube. As for my character that I'm playing, hopefully getting to play tonight, Achira Sampson. Achira is a loner, but she doesn't do anything that she doesn't have anybody go into something that she would not do herself first. That may be one of the only redeeming qualities that she has.
Thank you very much, Markia. Additionally, we have Luis Carrazzo. Luis, would you please introduce yourself to our audience and tell them a little bit about who you'll be playing tonight?
Sure. Hi, everybody. I'm Luis Carrazzo. I'm an actor, and I'm a tabletop role playing gamer dude. Follow me on all the social medias and stuff. I got a couple things coming up this season, and short film that's making some festival circuits, and another television appearance that's around the corner. I'm playing Lampwick. And Lampwick is um, hmm. There's nothing cute about Lampwick. There's nothing adorable about Lampwick. At least he definitely wants to project that for sure. Somebody who's used people, used his charm and maybe sex appeal to get the edge on people, but also there are only certain types of people that would be his prey in terms of how he might use them. And there's another category of people that he would absolutely never prey on, maybe. So he's kind of got a double-sided moral compass, depending on who he's dealing with. Maybe we'll learn more about it if he lives.
Certainly hope so. Finally, we have Michelle with us. Michelle, would you tell us just a little bit about the character that you're going to be playing and a little bit about what you are doing in your real life?
Start with real life first. Not such a bummer. My name is Michelle Bradley. I am a host and gamer, and I do videos over on the Button Mash YouTube channel every week. I also do streaming over there. We do deep dives about video games and the world that they have made for us. I also play here, and I play over on Dragons and Things on Thursdays. My character is Juniper Song, and she's like a little weirdo. She was born after the after the fall happened, so she has no reference. She doesn't get any of the references that Achira makes, that anyone is making about Full House and all that stuff. She only knows what she experienced from when she was born, when everything was already broken. So she has trouble communicating with other people. Growing up, there was only one person she was very close to, and she only depended on that person. So now it's kind of a crapshoot about who she trusts or pretends to trust, or maybe she doesn't trust anybody.
I think we'll find out. Now, as I've said, there are some things that you can do as our audience to engage directly with this tale. I encourage you to do so. I also encourage you to be careful. The dangers that are within are quite real, and stories have great power. Please prepare yourself. Tonight, we are asking for your support. If you have enjoyed what we have done here and wish to see more of it, we would ask that you let those within the world know. We are, of course, thankful for this service and willing to offer you a gift. Hunters Entertainment has authorized a survival kit be released into the wild. We will be offering a digital prize pack, a giveaway, to a single winner who will be chosen next week. To do so, all you must follow are the instructions that are in chat for you. Alex and some of our other moderators will remind you as this session moves along. Please follow those directions and do what you can to get the word out. Survival is not guaranteed. I have so much to say, but perhaps we should take a moment. We'll be back. Don't go anywhere.
Okay, listen, I don't have a lot of time, and I don't know who will find this, but I pray that you do not lose hope. My name is Outbreak, and I have a cure. I'm not safely able to record everything here, but I have a message the world needs to know. The virus, which has plagued us and devastated everything that we know and love, is not without weakness. I and a small group that rose out of the post the Center for Disease Control, have tested a radical antiviral which has produced a full and complete reversal of the devastating H195 virus. This message cannot end with you. Pass it on, make copies, and spread the truth. I leave it to the Good Samaritans and the Silent Sentinels, those who never waver and always, whatever you do, trust them, fear them.
The world is over. The year is 2020, but it is not the year that you know. Everything fell apart on May 29th, 1995. The localized governments shattered. Chaos reigned. Sky fell. And those that could banded together to try to form some means of survival in a dark and twisted place. Communications were all but lost. The television stations no longer broadcast any information. A handful of CB radios became the only reliable source of information, but it was hard to understand who on the other end of that line might be telling truth or might be lying. The world fell. And in that fall, only a handful survived. The viral outbreak shifted and changed, and the rumors that many heard became horrific reality as their loved ones, once dead, came back. They came back, but they did not come back as themselves. Slavering beasts, hungry creatures, no longer human, filled with only one thought: to consume and destroy. In the shattered remains of the world that we know, small groups began to band together out of necessity, with the hope of greater survival. The skills that you once had would not necessarily serve you in this new world. Survival required so much, and many fell and failed. But those that hung on, those who grasped onto the threads of hope that were quickly fading in the shattered cities and places of the world, those who grasped onto that hope found that survival, while difficult, was not entirely impossible. Somewhere in the middle of the woods, in what was once known as Pennsylvania, in a location near a long stretch of railroad tracks, a small cinder block shack stands in the morning light. The metal door has been scarred and scraped, and there is a heavy fog and dew that hangs on everything here. The air is thick, and it is quiet. In the far distance, a bird chirps, oblivious to the nightmare below it. For the ground here is soaked in blood and gasoline. One body has been eviscerated. Intestines are strewn. A pair of wayward legs tossed to the one side like a broken rag doll. Hanging from a tree, a corpse. Its feet off the ground as it hangs by its very mouth, a branch jutting out of an open, screaming face. The bird chirps. All is silent otherwise. And inside this small shack in the middle of the woods near this railway line, 3 people are huddled together in the darkness. The generator is off. It is stagnant, and the smell of oranges fill the air as rinds are tossed about. A small feast, a rare treat in these dark and dismal times. Juniper Song curled into a corner. A blanket pulled over her. She is still sitting upright, but sleeping nonetheless. Her head rested against a cinder block wall. Underneath a table on which a VHS player, a television, and a CB radio are wired. Lampwick is sprawled out, barely keeping his eyes open as he drifts in and out of sleep, fighting against the fear of what happened last night. The attack that slaughtered your companions. You've dealt with Romeros, plenty of them. The Walking Dead, the zombies that roam these lands, are mindless, hungry, thoughtless things. But whomever attacked you last night and killed your companions did so with a malicious heart and evil intent. Sis. 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 The sound of the chainsaw from the night before wakes you with a start as your head jolts up again and you realize you've barely slept. A third person, not asleep, cleaning a handgun, sits with a spring in her mouth. Abigail, the gun is broken into 3 parts in front of you, and you deftly are moving upon them, ensuring that all of them are properly cleaned and prepared for reassembly. With a meticulous and perfect motion, you click the automatic pistol back into full functioning form and pop the clip back into the bottom, pulling the action back with a loud click. You notice Lampwick's start, and Juniper is still fast asleep. You've only been awake for an hour. You managed to get some sleep.
You all right there, Lamp?
I just turn back over and pretend I'm half asleep. I'm not engaging.
That's fair. They'll continue cleaning what's left of the gun.
As you finish cleaning the gun, your mind wanders. Abigail, you're sitting in a room so very long ago, right before it all happened, in 1995. You were a much younger woman then, much different than you are now. And you sit in a very sterile institutional hallway with green walls that have been painted a painful shade. This lime color assails you and reminds you of baby shit. The stone walls beneath it are a putrid yellow, and the chairs that you're sitting in haven't been updated since 1970. They're worn, and there is graffiti carved into all of them. You're looking at a piece of graffiti that says, "Motherfuckers die." And you sit there, waiting, your hands in your lap. You are dressed in a cardigan and a simple black dress. You have your bag with you, and your eyes are lowered. The officer enters, and you see the holster and the gun and all of the badges and marks of official service as he addresses you. Are you sure you want to do this again?
Yes, I believe so.
You're the only one that comes in here anymore.
It's worth it to me.
Fair enough. Far be it from me to make any judgment on what you're doing. Surrounded by killers and thieves, hard to get a grasp on things anymore. Come with me.
I'll stand up and follow.
The officer walks you down a series of corridors, unlocking heavy bars. You're inside of a prison. You hear catcalls and screams from other of the jail cells as you pass by. You do your best to ignore them. As you walk to another door, and the officer unlocks it. 3 locks, each of them painfully loud as they shudder inside of their steel housings, and the door rattles forward, and you're led downstairs. You've made this walk countless times. Death row. This is where they put them, and this is where you spend the majority of your time. With another set of doors opened and a guard seated in a chair to one side with a shotgun, who nods to you quickly and then goes back to a book. You're led all the way down to a solitary cell. The officer takes a metal chair and sets it 6 feet away from the bars. Ernest is right down there. He so much as looks at you strange, you say the word, and we'll have him in the hole faster than you can snap your fingers. He's a real shit. I hope you know what you're getting into.
I don't believe that would be necessary. And
You've been here before, but I'm just saying, he's close, and when they get close, they get desperate.
I think you have been at this a bit too long, my friend. You seem to have lost your faith in people.
Just snap your fingers if you need anything. Ernest is here. And he walks away, and you hear the door lock behind him. In the jail cell in front of you, Abigail, is a silhouette of a man. The lights are out. After a moment, they shutter on, and the fluorescent light fills the space. And the scraggly, bearded man covers his eyes and his face from the light. Oh, those fuckers.
It's just me. How are you, dear?
I mean, how should I be? The man in... I'm sorry, go ahead.
I understand. Please, take a moment, but stand up so I can see you.
The man stands and walks a couple of steps forward into the light. And you know this face. You've spoken with him on multiple occasions. His name is Michael Ray Foster. He's a serial killer. He's been sentenced to death. He murdered 5 gay men in Boston over the course of half a year in 1993. But that isn't why he's here. His final victim was a valedictorian named Walter Monroe of the Monroe Fishing Empire. His family was very wealthy. And whereas the other men had no one to protect them, and there were even elements of the media and other loud, hateful voices that said that what his work was doing was cleansing the world of filth. When Walter Monroe died, the news changed its tune, and miraculously, all of the resources of the state were directed into the capture of this man, Michael Ray Forrest Foster. He's now on death row. This is the third time that you've spoken with him. It's my head again.
Yes, dear. What is it that is happening? Do tell me, and if there's anything I can do to assuage the pain in any way, I will try to help.
Well, it's all about my memories. I told you how they were all mixed up and that nothing makes sense anymore. I didn't do what they said I did. I mean, I did it, but I didn't. It wasn't me. It was the passenger. It didn't. I didn't do it. You know that.
I do. And I walk up to the bars and I put my hand on one of the bars.
He looks scared, and tears are pouring down his face as he reaches his hand out, and he covers your hand.
It's okay. Things happen. And not everyone is right upstairs, child, but you're sick. And that's not something that should be punished. Not this way. I'm going to do what I can to help you. I know that you didn't mean to do those things. I believe that if we can find a way to get you some help, that would be a lot better than keeping you trapped in here like some animal. I do not see viciousness in your heart.
I don't want to die.
I won't let it happen.
I don't want to. I'm not ready. They're going to do it in 3 days. I don't want to die.
I will do everything I can to try and help you, my child. My sweet, sweet individual. I know that your head gives you so much trouble.
It hurts. It even hurts now, and I hear the things that I don't do them. I don't listen anymore. I just didn't have anywhere to go, and no one would listen to me, and my doctor gave me all that medicine. I didn't know what I was doing. You know, I'm not a killer.
Would you like to pray with me?
I like that. Please.
I'm so glad. Here, take my hands.
I will. Sister Abigail, you have been a light to me, and I thank you so much for everything that you have done. And the two individuals at the jail cell pray. And we move down that long corridor, past the steel doors and the institutional green walls, out into the world. In another place, in a similar time. The man before you, Lampwick, is sweating profusely. His name is Arthur Williams, and his glasses are slid down on his nose, and he continues to press them up as the sweat is causing them to work their way down the bridge of his nose. You are seated very comfortably in his office. He is a very successful lawyer, and you have your feet up on a desk that is probably worth more than any car you have ever owned. Surrounding this desk are a number of highly decorated walls that have family photos of Arthur and his loving family, 3 girls, a boy, and a dutiful wife. They all smile as if nothing could ever go wrong with them, as if their lives were protected and promised to them. And yet, the man before you, as you sit there in a chair with your feet propped onto an expensive desk, holding onto the decanter of brandy and the crystal glass that you grabbed on your way in, is a blubbering mess. He nervously works his wedding ring back and forth and looks to you. Your eyes finally alight upon a degree on his wall. Harvard Law.
Now, Arthur, there's no need to be nervous, and I'm going to grab a glass and pour him a little bit of the drink that I definitely already poured myself.
He looks at it and just kind of nervously takes it, and you can see his hand is shaking as he quickly downs the entire thing in one drink and sets it back onto his desk. Now, I already paid you your fee. I'm not sure what you mean by giving me these photographs, but you and I are no longer associated with one another. Do you understand?
I understand what you're trying to say, yes, but I disagree, Arthur. What we shared, I don't think you can disassociate that.
I did not know that you had a camera in that hotel room behind a mirror, or that you would record our lovemaking.
Well, of course you didn't know, because I made sure that you didn't. And as for the payment, if I wasn't clear the first time, then let me make sure to be clear now. That was just the first installment, which I'm very appreciative for, but our dealings are far from done. Your wife's name again? What was that? You did talk a lot about her.
Suzanne, and you will not say it out loud.
I'll just refer to her as your wife. She's very pretty.
Indeed she is, and very fragile. You would destroy a family with your greed.
I wouldn't dare to destroy a family, but you have something I want. So, I'm just making a deal with you. You have plenty to spare. That's a nice degree up there, nice office, lovely drink.
There is not as much money as you might think.
Oh, I'm sure you can find a way to get whatever's missing.
I have immense expenses here within the partnership that you could not understand. And I have spent a great deal of time building this from the ground up. I am not going to pay the amount that you have written on that piece of paper there.
Oh, I think you will.
It is more than you could ever imagine. It is unfair.
Arthur, I have nothing to lose. You have everything to lose. So, I'm not here to negotiate. I'm here to tell you exactly what the situation is, which I have right there written down for you to refer to as often as you need to. So, my offer is clear. Don't run out of time, because then this, which I have more copies of, is going to find its way to the people that you definitely don't want it to.
You are a detestable piece of shit.
Of course I am, and you fell for it. So what does that say about you?
He turns and walks back to his desk, throws himself into his chair, opens a drawer, and pulls out a checkbook. He flips it open, scribbles into it, pulls a check out, and throws it at you. I can be assured, of course, that this will be only the first of many payments that you will require for your services.
Oh, yeah. You're right about that. The only thing you're right about since I met you. I grab it, fold it up nice and neatly, put it in my pocket, give him a little toast, I down the drink and put it right on the desk.
And as you leave, walking out of this office, past the receptionist and to the elevator, you hear a gunshot.
I just keep walking. What's the receptionist look like?
He's a handsome man. Blonde hair, blue eyes, sharp suit, young, up and coming. But as you pass by and that gunshot goes off, fear washes across his face and he stands and rushes back to his boss's office.
Kind of look over my shoulder and I just keep walking.
You press the button on the elevator and there's a ding. Inside, mirrors surround you. And you descend.
I find the one corner where I do not see any reflection of mine.
You do so. Juniper, the helicopters are loud. You're very young, but you're used to them. They don't scare you. They're curious. There aren't as many of them as there used to be. A year ago, even. There's the blare of air horns and sirens that often pepper the entire night, and you very rarely go an entire evening without hearing some signal to emergency, some emergency being called out by those who are either fighting against the dead that amass outside of the military installation that you are housed within, or some emergency happening within. There are steel fences and barbed wire segmenting every portion of this installation. In the center area of this camp are all of the military personnel themselves, those who carry heavy weaponry, who patrol outside of the walls, mowing down wave after wave of walking corpse as they struggle to get through the chain link fence and the barbed wire and all of the barriers that have been erected. You don't know the name of what this city used to be, and you don't really care. It doesn't matter any longer. It's just the place that you are. You and Olive, together. Your twin sister isn't quite as brave as you are, but in her quietness, she has a certain intelligence. She thinks a lot. She doesn't speak, and you've done what you can to protect her. You've got that bent and tattered Polaroid picture, and the two of you often sit at night and tell each other stories that are made up entirely about who your parents are, what they were like, making memories that never existed, telling each other lies so that you don't feel quite so alone. There are many orphans here. The world is now full of children without parents. It's more rare to find a family still unified. And you don't remember anything about what the world was like before it all became this. This is the world that you and your sister know. During a particularly warm summer day, all of the children within your ward are given some amount of freedom, allowed to run in front of the hospital walls, a large green field with a number of trees, Attached to them, tires have been tied into the heaviest and strongest of the branches, and children will play here in the only thing close to a playground that has ever existed within this installation. They scream and try to catch each other, and there's still a sense of glee that cannot be washed away by the apocalypse. Not entirely. You, however, are not playing with the swings. You are sitting over a small bird that has fallen out of a nest. It's chirping wildly, and in your hand is a rock. Olive is standing next to you. Are you gonna hit it?
I mean, we eat food inside, and then sometimes they look like birds, and sometimes there's not enough food, so this looks like it could be a food. And I mean,
It does. It looks like a lot like food.
Yeah. So just does it matter? It's ringing real loud. I just smash its head.
Your rock comes down, swift and without mercy, and the bird chirps one final screech as its life is given to you and your rock.
Too loud. Next time, Olive. Next time.
No, it was loud. We'd be better. We'll do better. Hide it so that Aunt Betty doesn't find it. She won't let you keep it. She said you couldn't keep the rat, so why would she let you keep the bird?
It's fine. Here, I tear it in half. I give her half.
Thank you, sister.
Hide it.
I'll hide this.
A woman stands on a stone set of steps at the double doors of the hospital. She is a strong-looking woman with very bright hazel eyes, dark skin and hair that has been pulled into a tight bun. And she looks over at all of the children that are here and does her best. She has an exhausting job ahead of her to do what she can to care for this ward of children. She gathers them up, but some are harder. Some don't listen as easily. And it's different than it once was. Children who were left in the wilds alone too long, even in the comforts that are offered here at the installation, rarely ever truly come back to civilization. And she knows this. And with a loving hand, she guides you and your sister back to a small room with two bunks that are next to each other. And as she opens the door and looks to both of you, I want you both to behave tonight. No more trying to sneak out. You live here now. Do you understand?
We don't live anywhere.
This isn't home.
You don't want this to be home.
No, where's home? They always come. Doesn't matter.
Everyone here is going to be dead.
You too, lady. Don't
You're
get
gonna
comfy.
be dead.
She kind of steels herself and then looks back at what you've done to your room. The beds have been torn apart and branches and leaves have been introduced into the space. Nests have been made in the corners of this room, much like what you and Olive slept in for quite some time when you were alone. All right, well, don't leave tonight for me, and we'll see what happens tomorrow.
Are you leaving?
I'm leaving. She turns and closes the door behind you and your sister.
She bothers us too much.
They are never going to be alive for long.
I feel like something's happening. Why would she tell us specifically this one night not to leave.
Do you think that she wants us to go because we are different than the others?
I don't know. Maybe she's afraid of dying too. Maybe they're running out of food.
Maybe, and they don't want to feed us. But we don't need them. We didn't ask to come here. They grabbed us and made us come.
So we should go.
We should go. I only need you, Juniper.
I only need you.
And the two twins hold each other in the dark room next to their makeshift nests inside of the abandoned hospital on a military installation that is surrounded by the walking dead, a sea of the dead. Some other time, in a rundown apartment, we hear other children screaming loudly. A baby cries. Two children are fighting in another room. A pot boils over on a propane stove. Achira, you are in the middle of all of this storm of chaos and noise. A baby in your arms. You're surrounded by filth. Stacks upon stacks of dirty diapers, boarded up windows in this filthy, run-down apartment, and you've been here now for 3 weeks. Trapped inside. You haven't bathed. You haven't had any light outside of the candles, which are, by the way, running very low. The formula that is currently in the bottle, that is in the pot, that is boiling over, causing the propane stove to sputter, brings your attention back to the moment. And in your hand is a photograph of your brother. His beautiful face beaming brightly. And next to him, a woman with her face completely scratched off the photo. The baby is crying. The water is boiling over. Omar and Marcus are fighting in the other room. What would you like to do?
Achira looks down at the baby that looks nothing like her and looks around the room.
None of the children look like you.
She hears them fighting again and being loud. They're always so loud. No matter how many times I talk to them. And she starts saying this out loud to herself while she walks over to the propane stove to turn it down. No matter how many times I tell them, no matter what I do, they just get louder. We can't move anywhere because of this one and then them. She stomps over to the other room where Omar and Marcus are roughhousing. How many times? How many times do I have to tell you, you have to shut up? They are out there. When I found you, you weren't this loud.
Two children, all varied. It's clear that none of these children are related to each other. Maybe one or two of them, but these are children that do not have parents. Omar has Marcus on the ground and is pressing him down. Both stop and then immediately kind of jump up. One of them flips you off and runs behind the couch. The other one grabs onto a sofa cushion and flings it across the room as He leaps over Amanda and Nora, who are cuddled on the couch together, smearing crayons across the window, drawing on the walls again.
This isn't the way that this was supposed to be. This isn't the way that it is in any of the movies or TV. It's not supposed to be like this. We're supposed to be a family.
You yourself are so young. These children are filthy. Everything smells so badly that you feel your stomach constantly turning. The noise is endless. Their demands, their ingratitude, they hate you. The baby, Faith, will not stop crying. You've done everything, but the rashes are everywhere, and she will not shut up. The room is getting smaller, Achira. What do you do?
I. Nora, come here. Nora, come here. Now.
The third time that you ask, Nora drops the crayons and walks over to you.
Take Faith for a second.
She holds on to the infant, turns back to the couch, sits back down holding the baby, pretending like it's a doll.
We are low on a lot of things. And I'm gonna have to go make a run to bring some things back. I'm gonna go out a little bit further than I usually do, so I might take a little bit longer to come back.
The baby is crying. Omar and Marcus are fighting again. Amanda is singing a little song and rocking the baby far too much. The baby is crying. Amanda
Marcus
looks to you, scribbling on the walls, smiles, and then goes back to her work.
Marcus, I'm gonna need the emergency supplies.
Marcus stomps out of the room and throws the backpack that you've had in the closet for quite some time now, throws it at your feet.
Chira picks up the backpack and looks around at each of them.
Bring cookies.
Yeah, Nora. I know how much you like your cookies. And she thinks about how she had, while scavenging, found some of them together or separately and had brought them all here. And then she goes into the next room, back into the kitchen. And she quickly packs unopened supplies into the backpack that she has. She leaves the formula on the propane stove. But she does take the smaller portable propane stove with her. She puts her backpack on and she hears them in the room. They've already started to get loud again. She looks at the picture of her brother again. And the face that she scratched off of that photo. She tucks it away into the black camouflage jacket that she wears that's worn and too big for her, but it wasn't hers to begin with. It was her brother's. She goes back to the doorway where the kids are. Remember, I might take a while. Just don't leave and be quiet. We all have to grow up sometime.
Marcus shouts back, I'm 7. I'm a big boy now.
I hear you, Marcus. I guess I'm real old to you. I'm just 13, so just be good to each other. And then she turns and goes out the door.
You walk down the stairs of the rundown apartment complex, and as you do, a litany begins repeating itself in your mind. Every step you take, their names: Marcus, Amanda, Nora, Omar, Baby Faith. Marcus, Amanda, Nora, Omar, Baby Faith. Marcus, Amanda, Nora, Omar, Baby Faith. And you walk down the dark street. The ruined street with broken buildings, dead piled high on the sides of each of the ditches that have been dug here. Bodies that have yet to be picked up, clouds of flies, and the stench of the dead everywhere. And you walk alone into the night. 13, trying so hard to be much, much older than you are. Marcus, Amanda, Nora, Omar, and Baby Faith.
Everybody's gotta grow up sometime.
Outside of the cinder block shack, near the rail line, in the middle of the woods, deep in central Pennsylvania. Further away, Achira walks at night, alone. You remember Lampwick's words ringing in your ears. You remember the argument, and you remember the horrible sight of what happened to your companions. Malibu Stacy's song rings in your ears. And those two kind men have paid the price. You know better than to sit like a duck in the middle of a fire. And you've moved on. You're walking down the rail. The moon is bright around you. Do you have a light source, Achira?
I believe she would. She'd have a hooded flashlight, something that was dim. She scavenges a lot at night.
Something dim. Batteries are a rarity. A lantern, perhaps? Hand crank? You have a small hand crank flashlight that is quite valuable. They're rare. It's small, and it only produces a very dim light, as the bulb is very old, and it flickers from time to time. You're casting shadows across the trees around you, and they feel like they're closing in the night sky. You hear crickets in the distance, and a small speckle of lightning bugs work their way across the side of your path, swarming about and then disappearing into the night. It's quiet, but a fog is starting to roll through. And the haze that fills around your boots as they step upon the gravel on the tracks is cold. You can see your breath, plumes of it, as you move forward. You're utterly alone. And there is a quiet here. It's hard to imagine in our modern world. No light pollution, no noise, just you and the night. Stars stretch out as far as you can see. How do you travel forward, Achira?
Well, after she thinks to herself, why in the world would anybody want to be locked within a bunker when we could have? And she stops herself because she shouldn't think in the terms we. It is I. But I believe that, was there a decision on where they were heading? Because I think Achira would just head towards the next place that they were going to. If they make it there, then great. She'll meet them there. So I believe it was something like following the rails.
The destination that you and the others had discovered on the Ender's line within the safe house had described a farmhouse that was working desperately to make penicillin for those who desperately needed it due to a flu season that had rocked through a number of smaller communities. You were to deliver supplies there and take your cut, making your way further down the line with some of the medical supplies that were being produced there. The Enders have made only cursory according to what was left behind for you. To make contact, make a deal, and do what you do as a rag and bone merchant. Get people what they need when they need it. Of course, all of this comes at a cost, and you would be compensated. You become what others might consider wealthy, given the state of things in the world. You do pretty well for yourself at this trade. You survive better than most. You and your companions, we won't yet say former, work together well for the short time that you had traveled together. But to answer your question, Achira, yes, you do know generally the direction of the farmhouse. You're looking for a crossroads on the rail, and then it enters into an old town, Hagersfield.
Is there a water tower? I think that might be a really good place to spend the night. Somewhere high, without food, other people.
I'd like for you to make a composure roll, please, Achira. You steel yourself as you begin moving through the night. Your thoughts turn towards how best to find a safe place. You have 1 degree of success. That will be enough. As you start moving towards the crossroads, it does take a number of hours. And as you get closer to what looks like the broken remains of buildings off on the horizon, the trees seem to slim down, and you find small dirt paths and other signs of long lost civilization. The vegetation here has taken over entirely. Where the forest truly ends now is hard to define. Buildings and natural growth are one and the same, more often than not. However, you do find a small rail depot, and it is a network of living vine, trees that have broken through rotted boards, roofs that have long ago collapsed inward. The jagged shell of what once was. And there, deeper on the horizon, you see an old water tower. Whatever it once said, you only see the letter A and D. Everything else has been worn away by rust and time. If it was able to hold water any longer, you don't think that the water would be safe. There are spots of heavy rust all across it, and plants have overtaken its entire left side. A tree is pushing through its legs and offsetting the middle platform of it. Looking at it, you're uncertain of how safe it might be, but you could certainly investigate if you like.
Achira says to herself, pop quiz, hot shot. Got a water tower. Might be good and high and safe, but how secure could it possibly be? What are you gonna do? She's gonna investigate, see if maybe the tree that has braced through part of the water tower, to see if it might be safer to climb that and then balance between the tree and the water tower.
I'm going to make a roll. You have started this session with all of your competency points restored. I currently have 50 risk. I'm going to spend 10 of those risk.
Would you say this tree is a location hazard?
It is.
And I'm
This is part of the water tower, and it is considered a location hazard.
gonna do my ability to get an additional competency point.
Excellent. I'm very glad for you. You'll need it.
I'm sure.
Off the road by the water tower and this tree is an old rusted pickup truck. The wheels have long ago rotted away, and plants are growing across its side. The glass, however, surprisingly, seems to be intact, and layers of filth cover it. It lies there, an empty shell of a vehicle, unable to be driven, but perhaps it offers you something else. Above, investigating the water tower, you think that it might be safe to climb.
Hot quiz, hot shot. Got a truck here. The glass has stayed intact. That means nothing is really gonna bother it, chances are. Or you can continue up the tree. What are you gonna do?
After all of this, in the morning before, Lampwick, Juniper, Abigail, you're looking at each other. Juniper, you've just woken. The door is still closed. There was no further attack.
Did any weird chainsaw people come by throughout the night?
I didn't hear anything, and I've been awake for a little while, just taking care of this stuff. As a matter of fact, here, hang on to this. I think you'll find it to your liking. And I hand her the crossbow out of the pack. Should we go try and find Akira?
I think she made the decision that she wanted to make, and I am not sweating it. I think we move forward, and if we run into her, then we figure it out from there.
I agree. She didn't make her choice. That was the thing she decided. It's a little piece of me that just, I worry. How are you? Are you guys okay? Because that's still bugging me out a little bit.
The fact that Achira tried to light us all on fire when we specifically told her not to, or the chainsaw
massacre?
aside.
The massacre. And I take a quick look over at it, and then that.
Is the door open?
The door is still bolted shut.
I don't want to see it again. I don't want to open it up. I know we have to, but that's.
I'm starting to pack up all the stuff that we came here to deliver, the rinds of the oranges, and the tape that we inserted. And if there are any other VHS tapes, I'm taking them with me as well.
All right. Well, you have a great deal of equipment and supplies here. There are crates, and if you were to completely gather everything present, since you do not have a vehicle, each of you would have a certain amount of encumbrance. There are some bags and sacks here as well that you can use to help to condense some of those items. But given the equipment that you're carrying, you might have to make some very difficult choices as to what you take and what you leave behind.
Well, we got to take the orange peels, and the tapes, I think, are pretty critical. Whatever food is here that was left for us, we should take with us.
Yeah, I would say the food. I mean, the medical supplies. We don't have to take. There's so many of them. What do they just need? Oranges and like some needles. What I don't really understand what they need all the stuff for. Well, I know they're sick, I guess, but I mean, are we going to cure all of them? Can't they just cure the important people?
What is the package? What that consists of? I know they wanted us to take the oranges and the peels, but what other stuff was there that they wanted us to take?
There are a number of smaller crates that have been left here. There is a number of ready dried meats that have been prepared, and there are packets of seeds.
I can grab the smaller stuff if you guys want.
Yeah.
And she'll reach out, Abigail will reach out and like grab some of the seeds and stuff and start sticking it in the little tiny packs. The bigger stuff is up to you guys, though.
If you choose to carry everything, you will be very overburdened on your journey. If you take, we'll say, 3/4 of it, you will be slowed and able to move forward without too much difficulty, but it will affect you. If you take half of it, you can move quickly. The choice is yours.
Better safe than sorry. Let's take half.
Yeah, we're just trading. We're not here to die. I'm not here to die.
I'm not dying over a piece of meat.
And quite honestly, I think we should keep some of it for us anyways, so that we know where it's at. If we give them everything, what happens if we need it?
That's a good point, actually.
I wasn't planning on giving them everything that we took with us. I was planning on eating some of it on the way at least. But, good idea. Nonetheless, we'll keep some here for if we make it back this way.
To be clear, you started this journey with many more rag and bone merchants than you are ending this journey.
Right.
It would have been much easier, but 3 of your party are now dead. and
And
one
one is missing.
is missing.
We just do what we can, and I think we should go. If the chainsaw zombie or person is not here, then that's great. We should just keep moving. Just grab half and get out.
Yeah, let's take half. They'll get it. We lost half our group or more.
Yeah, they'll
That
be
happens.
grateful for whatever we give them. So, you know.
You gather up half of the goods that are present here in the safe house. You pack the rest away. And you had said that you were taking all of the VHS. Is that correct?
Yeah, how many of those tapes were there?
There are 5 I'm sorry. There are 4 tapes in total. It seems that one of them is missing.
All right, well. Just at a... Yeah. I turned to the group. Do you guys want to pop another one of these in before we leave?
Sure. Why not?
Are they all unlabeled, or just the one or the two? The one with a message on it, was that unlabeled? I can't remember.
The one with the message on it had a label that was written upon it. It was not a VHS tape that looks like it was commercially ever sold. It was a white label, and on it was a series of markings. ... dash 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 ...
Okay. Okay, let's take the mysterious. Are we gonna talk about what's on this crazy tape that we saw last night? What?
I wasn't able to really make out a lot of what was said. It was all too staticky for me.
I mean, if it's real and there's a cure, that'd be nice
right. I think I heard
to
something like
have.
that.
I mean, who knows how old it is?
Trusting, I don't know. It confused me. It was cutting out. It's about trusting people and not trusting certain people. And to be honest, I don't trust anyone. I barely trust you guys. No offense.
None taken.
Eh.
Well, I guess we're supposed to head to this other place, and depending on what impression, maybe we share this with them and see if they have any thoughts.
Juniper, you have the map that was left behind by the Enders.
I do have the map.
Upon it, there are a number of routes that have been drawn. You have 3 clear options. One of those paths is easier to travel. It will get you there much quicker, but it brings with it danger. One of the paths is much more difficult. That path, the more difficult and away from the main roads, will provide more safety if you are cautious. The final path is perhaps the safest path of all, but it will take a very long time.
Okay, I've got the map. Let's boogie. It's gonna take a while. And I want to guide the group on the I guess the medium one, the medium one, not the longest safest, and not the quickest, most dangerous.
You've chosen to leave the road and to carefully navigate the woods around this farmhouse to make your way away from the city towards this community. Is that correct, Juniper?
Yes, and I don't tell anyone else that information.
Excellent. As for the rest of you within the bunker safe house, I need to know, who opens the door?
I will.
Abigail, you stand and you slide the metal bolt backwards, painfully, as it is hard to work out of its housing now that it has been so damaged by the attack last night. And finally, it pulls back. 2 whole inches in diameter of steel that has been bent by whatever thrust itself against the wall, pushing against the door here.
This looks rough, guys.
The door creaks open,
I look out.
I'm ready with my spear.
It happened last night after the murders, after your companions were dismembered. The blood drew them, the gore, hot, sticky wetness. The Romeros, hungering always. The dinner bell had been rung. And as you open that door, Abigail, and you look beyond, you see no less than 50 Romeros, tearing like rabid dogs at the remains of the people that you once called friends.
I shut the door very quickly, but try to be as silent as possible, also while throwing up.
I would like for you to make a roll for me, please. I'd like to see if you can do this carefully and quietly. Roll your stealth.
Excellent.
I'm giving you 2 degrees of difficulty, which means that you'll be adding 2 black d6s to your pool. The difficulty comes in the fact that the door itself is broken, and opening it made a great deal of noise. Closing it now is making even more, along with the retching noise as you empty the contents of your stomach onto the floor of this safe house. That's 1 degree of success. You're lucky. The door is closed. You were as quiet as you could have been, and you are pushing back gouts of vomit onto your face as you are fearful of the noise that it might make, smearing it across your chest and your entire face as you stop it, the torrent, as the door is slammed shut and passably quiet. What caused you to vomit, though, Abigail, wasn't simply the feast that was being had by the zombies outside of your door. It was the sight that you saw there. The shattered, broken body of Skeeter hanging from that tree, risen from the dead. His arms reaching out, grasping at air as he struggled, the branch impaling through the back of his head and out his mouth. His brain hadn't been destroyed. He lives on, in a manner of speaking. And he jerks and jolts there like a rag doll, a marionette without strings, hoping to grab on to just a piece of what the others are indulging themselves on below. All of you are in the safe house, and the night before, Achira, you have a choice. We're going to take a 10-minute break, and when we do, we'll resolve this situation. Please don't go anywhere. We'll be back. Welcome back. You are at Hunters Entertainment's Twitch.tv channel, and tonight we are exploring the world of Outbreak, Rag and Bone. If you're new here, I urge you caution. The roads that we are traveling are not safe. We implore you to please read the content warning and ensure that we have your consent to be on this journey with us. I've spoken with my players, and we have set boundaries and ensured each other's safety within this space. But we seek to tell a tale of horror, of survival, of humanity up against a wall. We do have some goals tonight, and we hope that you can help us to reach them. We're seeking to hit a number of subscribers and followers, and you can find all that information below and from our helpful moderators in the chat. They are there to aid you and to assist you on our journey. If you need anything from them, please just ask. But I do not wish to delay. There's much to talk about still. So many things to be seen. Our journey has just begun, and the road is long. Our survivors are split. 3 are locked within a safe house on the side of a rail line in central Pennsylvania, surrounded by 50 of the walking dead, known in this region as Romeros. Slavering creatures that have long ago lost their humanity with their death, racked by a horrendous virus that has brought an animalistic hunger to them. This sea of the undead surrounds them. Achira separated from the group, striking out into the night alone, as she has so many times in the past. Achira, we will begin with you. You had a choice when we left you last. The night sky hung overhead, the moon full and bright, your small hand crank light offering you some scattered amount of luminosity in this terrifying, shattered graveyard. All that is remaining of this city, Hagersfield, is a depot that no longer stands and a water tower with a tree grown through it and a rusted old pickup truck. What would you like to do?
Achira's gonna pull 2 bungee type belts out of her pack because she's going to climb the tree. Better to be able to see from above than to be trapped within something on the ground.
Excellent. To do so, I'm going to require you to make a climb check. It is dark and cold, and the fog makes it hard to see, but you push yourself forward towards the tree. You grasp onto the harsh bark and start to pull yourself upward. Hand over hand, you begin to climb. How many degrees of failure do you have?
4.
I see.
So I'm going to use competency points. I'll use 5 of them.
How many competency points does that leave you with
1.
for the rest of the night?
Yep.
Interesting. Your hand slips on the branch and you nearly fall, but you catch yourself. Teetering there, it has broken underneath your weight. You misjudged it. The branch falls and lands on top of the truck. Thankfully, it doesn't make much noise. You continue to pull yourself up and you're safe. You haven't fallen off the tree. And you find a nook between 2 broad branches that you can rest in. A space that you can oversee the rest of the ruined town.
Achira would pull her rifle if she's able to like look through, if it's a rifle with a scope, to look through to see what she can see. I know it is dark.
Unfortunately, the darkness precludes you from making much use of the scope at night. However, as you survey the area around you. I would like for you to make a spot listen, please. While you sit inside the tree, your eyes begin to scan across the horizon. The moon is bright, as I said, and while there is fog that obscures much of the road, you are able to see the shapes of the buildings off in the distance. Old awnings that have crumbled inward and vehicles that are stacked upon each other on the road. Wild grasses and trees have now broken through all of the concrete, and it is as if a shattered earth has risen up here to reclaim what was once its own. The remnants of this city, of this town, are failing. They are washing away very slowly. It is a sight that you have become very accustomed to, Achira. The smaller, more remote towns are nearly washed away. Most communities find solace in more urban settings. It's easier to maintain security when you're more remotely removed. You see, Achira, you did see the map, and you did move forward in the night. But I didn't give you a choice. You chose the fast, dangerous path, and are on it now. There, in the distance on the horizon, you do see shapes moving. Silhouettes that wander, roaming slowly in that town across the streets. They are, thankfully, far away from the water tower, but you know, too much noise, too much light. You will be compromised.
Jira has both hunted and been hunted at night before. She's going to become very quiet, very small. She's going to think back to her hometown, Blue Brunswick, Georgia. She's going to think of not just the 3 in the bunker that she left behind, but a whole bunch of other people too. But at least in this case, she was going to try to rejoin them. And she thinks about her brother most of all. She thinks about Blaine. She thinks about how she's wearing his coat and what he used to smell like and how he used to hold her up so high and he was her big brother. And how he met his end. But she doesn't think about that too much because then she'll start making noise. And now isn't the time for tears.
Achira, you steel yourself against the night, and you find some peace. Do you sleep?
About as well as could be expected. Fitful.
You will be somewhat exhausted in the morning, and you will suffer some dangers because of that.
Well, then using those 2 bungee belts that she did to climb the tree, she settles one on the small of her back and another at the back of her ass so that she can get herself a nap in a tree.
Additionally, you produce a bit of nylon rope that was part of Lampwick's pack that you had taken items from. You use it to secure your feet and the bungees to secure the rest of your body, and you ensure that no matter what happens, you will not be falling out of this tree tonight. You're uncomfortable, but after time, the harshness of the bark beneath your back, the pain in your neck, The fear of everything that you've seen this night slowly dissipates, and you drift off to a long, dreamless sleep. And in
Her
that
last
quiet,
thought is of the three of them in the bunker and if she made the right decision. And then she thinks, of course I did.
in that quiet, as you drift off, thinking of your companions and your brother, you realize that if they do die, you will have nothing to show this community when you arrive. You took none of the oranges. You took none of the supplies. All you have in your pack are some of Lampwick's items and a VHS copy of Pretty in Pink.
Oh, shit. And then
The word echoes through the night, and you drift back off, slowly finding sleep. Juniper, Lampwick, and Abigail. The door is now closed. Abigail, you are covered in your own vomit. Lampwick, you saw a very fleeting glance of what lies beyond that door. There are no windows. There is no way to tell, outside of opening the door, exactly what you're facing. What would you like to do? And I will, at this point, notify you. You have been loud enough.
You guys see that out there? There's
Yeah.
so many. There's so many of them. Also, I'm sorry that you're stuck in here with me now that I smell like this. But do we still have any of that gas left?
I check. I think we do. Do we?
Inside of the gas can, you have very little. Inside of the generator, you still have half a tank. If you were to siphon the gasoline out of the generator, you would have more.
What's your plan?
I think if we do that, we take some of the clothes, just one of the articles that isn't soaked in gas yet, and put it in their Molotov gas can out the door.
Okay. So now we can light things on fire. I'm okay with this now. Abigail, why don't you change? There's some clean. Remember the clean clothes that Lampwick stole from. You can take those, and then we'll light your vomit clothes on fire. That seems fine.
That works. And do you mind, Lampic?
Do I mind what?
If
No,
I
there's-
take the clothes?
There was like a yeah. It's
I don't care.
All right, thanks. And she'll walk over and she'll change and she'll take her tank top that's kind of pukey and hold it out by the fingers towards Juniper so that Juniper can grab it in a place that's also not covered in puke.
You remove your soiled clothing and you put on a mechanic's onesie. It is blue-gray, and as you zip it up to the left, you realize that it's quite large. It will serve. It is larger than you are, and the name tag upon it says Hambone.
I'm Hambone now, and I need you all to know that I will be referred to as nothing else.
what's a ham bone? It's the bone. What's the ham bone? I feel like ham doesn't have bones in it.
You're
It's
good
just a
girl,
nickname.
Juniper.
Wait, so you want to? Did they hear us? I think we either. It seems to me that your plan is to draw attention to us. If we haven't drawn a lot of attention to us right now, we will the second we light them on fire. Are we gonna run immediately?
Our only option. I think they're already a little riled up just from us checking out there. So, whatever it is, I mean, if you have another plan, please do throw it on the
I
table.
don't. The only other plan I can think of is that we sit here and we wait it out and hope that once they're done eating, they take off and go somewhere else, but I don't know. That's no guarantee. They
And
may
I-
smell us and head our way now.
My issue with that is the oranges. We've got to at least get them to the next town quick enough before they continue to rot. They're already not in great shape.
Because we eat them.
That's-
So yeah, yep. When she
Alright,
exposed the rinds.
gotta go.
So I think I'm into Molotov cocktails. I think the slamming and the barfing probably they already hurt us. So maybe throw the cocktails to the right and we run to the left. Make a distraction, or just run. Can you two run real fast?
I could run faster than them, probably. So
I don't know how fast they can run. Actually, I can't remember. But we could probably figure it out. But I think we should just go.
all right, grab your shit.
I need to know what all of your intentions are.
I'm going to it looks to me, and maybe Abigail could clarify what she's planning to do. If we're throwing the cocktail to the right and running to the left, is that the plan that we had just come up with?
Who is lighting the cocktail? Who is building the cocktail? And who is throwing the cocktail?
Haha. Good question.
Looking at my stats to see what I'm good at.
Lighting, building, and throwing.
I guess I can help make them. I can make them.
Okay, so you are going to make a Molotov cocktail. Is that correct?
Yup.
Is there a stat for throwing, or is that considered a fire?
Going to be a ranged melee attack or a ranged attack.
Awesome.
So you can use your ranged skill for that roll for throwing.
Okay.
And as far as the crafting of the Molotov, I'm going to have Juniper make a survival check.
Any difficulty dice or no?
Given that you wish for it to do as much damage as possible, I will be giving you a single difficulty die. However, you do have decent material here. The equipment is going to change your bonus modifier, so it's going to be a ×2 on your build.
Okay.
That is very bad.
So bad.
So you've rolled a 6%. How many degrees of failure are you looking at there, Juniper?
5. It's 5.
5 degrees. And now you do have a number of competency points. Do you wish to offset these?
Yes. I have 5. I have 6, so if I use 6, that'll be 1 degree of success? Or is that...
If you use 6, it will be 1 degree of success, and you will not set the interior of this bunker on fire. You're correct.
I feel like I talked a lot of smack about Cheer doing that earlier. I will use all 6 right now and hope I get some more later.
Understood. So you have chosen to use all of your competency points in correcting the mistake that you were making. As you're siphoning out the gasoline and trying to bring it back into the container, you immediately swallow a large mouthful of gas and start hacking and coughing, and the gasoline begins to pour on the floor. But luckily, Juniper, you quickly put the tube into the container, and the rest of it does find its home.
Nothing to see here. It's fine. Just you two make your plan. Also, don't just look at me while doing my thing.
You've only wasted a small amount of the gasoline, and now you have stuffed the rags soaked in the gasoline that was on the floor into place, and you believe that it is ready. With the Molotov cocktail built, who is going to throw it, and who's going to open the door?
I would rather open the door than throw it. If you're specialized in your little rangy stuff.
I am.
Are you leaving the doorway in a formation?
I'll take point for sure.
Lampwick, you have an ability that allows you to, while in a formation, increase morale and composure rolls. That is going to be essential. Because if this group breaks as you start to work your way through the Romeros, it will not end well. They far outnumber you. You're at a disadvantage, and you're inside a small safe house in the middle of this horde that has built around the bodies of your fallen companions. Are you prepared?
Let's see. I got all my shit. I'm gonna get ready to open the door, and I'm focusing on the two of them, and I'm talking them up. So I'm taking point, ready to open the door, but I'm making sure that I'm reading how they're doing, and I'm ready to like motivate them and just to help them stay focused.
And you have told them where they need to go and how they need to direct themselves, correct?
Right. That's getting chucked to the right. I'm going to, as I open the door, make room for Abigail, but I'm also going to, assess how many people or how many of them the Romeros kind of turn to walk at us. So I'm trying to like see the big picture as I kind of give them directions.
Very well. So, with all of your intentions set, the only one who has additional speed dice is going to be the individual throwing the Molotov cocktail, because this is a very large container. It is cumbersome and slow. Who is throwing the Molotov cocktail?
Abigail, as Juniper was putting the gasoline into the tank, she was loading her gun and making sure that it was ready to fire and taking the safety off and putting it on her back. And she will walk over and grab the container and get ready to check it.
You do so. You will have 3 speed dice added to your pool, and you'll have 1 difficulty dice.
Is the speed the red die?
The speed is the blue.
Okay.
Red is damage. However, your damage dice on this attack will be 4. It
And
is significant.
Do I have any black dice?
You have 1 black die.
Excellent.
Which represents the difficulty of the task you are trying to undertake. Juniper, since Lampwick is opening the door and Abigail is throwing the Molotov cocktail, when you leave, you will have an action that you can undertake. What is it that you wish to do as you're moving in formation with your group?
Mm-hmm. Would this count as a stealth encounter or no? Because they're kind of already aware.
This is certainly a stealth encounter.
Oh, okay, cool. I get
until that Molotov cocktail goes off, and then we'll reassess the situation.
I have 1 special trait where I get +3 action markers per round in stealth encounters, but I pick 3 extra things I can do, so that's 4 things.
You're going to be able to move more swiftly during this encounter.
Quickly, okay.
So tell me what you're going to be doing.
I think when the door opens, I want to. I mean, I'm following the plan, but I just want to start. As I see Abigail's hand go back to throw the cocktail, then I'll start to run to the left. But I probably won't wait for anyone else to like run with me. I'd probably run by myself first.
Every one of your markers that you spend will give you an automatic degree of success.
Yeah. So I must roll for it otherwise, though?
You must roll either way.
Okay.
Because it's quite possible that you will still fail.
I'll do that.
You are making a stealth roll, as is Lampwick, and Abigail, you'll be making your ranged attack with the Molotov cocktail. I would like for all of you to roll now. Keep in mind the speed dice that I've indicated here. And immediately you take action.
I'm sorry, how many? I don't have any extra speed dice, right?
You have no additional speed dice that you have to roll.
Got it. Same with me, right?
Same with you. Abigail has the additional speed dice and a difficulty die. Very well. How many competency points do you have remaining, Abigail?
All 5.
You have 5, and you will be using all of them to make this work?
That is correct.
Because you had how many degrees of failure?
That is 5. Mm-hmm.
I see. You spend your competency. Of the 3 of you, who has competency remaining?
I have all of mine.
Very well. Luis Lampwick opens the door. It is as quiet as it possibly can be. There is still a screech of concrete against metal. There are rotten, skinless faces that turn towards you, gnashing teeth and hollow eyes, pale and washed away from the sun. Hairless, straggling things in rags with their intestines exposed and their ribs jutting from out of parchment-like gray-green skin. The dead have taken notice of you. Many of them turn, dropping the tattered remains of the feast that they were partaking in. Ragged blood smeared across this scene. Like dogs, they had spread your companions out even further. Skeeter is upon the tree, hanging like a marionette, jolting forward, trying in vain to pull himself off of his grave so that he can reach you. His dead eyes loll towards you. Ragged hands outstretched. You can see that the flies and maggots have already found their feast. The dead begin moving towards you. Juniper, you quickly move out, slipping past Lampwick as the group moves forward. Abigail, you nearly drop the Molotov at your feet. But in that last moment, as a small amount of gas splashes against your boots and pants, you spark the lighter, light the Molotov, and fling it into the horde. It explodes outward, and flames begin licking across your opponents. They do not seem to notice. The burning certainly slows them, but it does not seem to hurt them. They set ablaze as the gasoline spreads out in a wide, splashing arc, catching over half of your opponents. You begin running, and you break away, back to the rail line. The dead following after, half of them on fire. The dried leaves start to catch, and the safe house burns. Everything in this part of the forest is now on fire. And the trees begin to pop and crackle and shriek as they break apart under the intense heat that has been brought upon them. The silhouettes behind you as you charge down this rail line shuffle slowly behind you as the flames lick across the tracks and everything behind you burns. You've managed to escape, but no one will be visiting that depot again. Part of the Ender's line has been destroyed. Achira, when you wake, you almost forget everything. You almost forget where you are. You're almost that child again that woke up and didn't know that the world was about to be over. But it, as it always does, comes crashing back in like an unwanted guest. Your memories of where you are and the situation that you find yourself in, they're right there with you now. Your thoughts go back to your companions at the safe house. And also to your
I
lack
had
of
to
orange
grab some
peels.
Oranges. All I had to do was grab some oranges.
There is something new on the horizon. Something that wasn't there when you fell asleep. There is a wooden stake that has been driven into the ground in the middle of the road that you came from. There are crows standing atop it, pecking at something. One of them pulls a bit of flesh off the severed head that is hanging there, flies back into the air. And from
Wait,
your
this was on the road I came in on, so this is something that wasn't there last night.
That is correct. The severed head is that of Papa Bear. And it's staring right at you.
Achira would pull her scythe and take a good look around to make sure that she's the only one that she can see right now.
Make a spot listen check, but before you do, make a composure check. I'm going to add 2 difficulty dice.
And that's the black dice.
Yes. The head that is upon that stake, its mouth slack, screaming in pain. You remember seeing the rest of the body when you left. That sweet man from Chicago. He and his lover traveled with you and the others for some time now, and he was always softly spoken and kind to you.
He used to comfort me when I get real quiet.
You have 1 degree of success, which is enough. Make a spot listen check, please.
Any difficulty dice with that or no?
No. You start to scan against the horizon, looking back to the city. That's 3 degrees of success. That's very good. Congratulations. There in the city, in the morning fog, far down the road, there are the swaying, rotten forms of the Romeros. But Achira, there is something else. Very, very large shape, larger than a Romero. A man in silhouette. You only see the fog and his figure. A black, inky spot in the middle of the road, maybe half a mile away from you from here. Standing looking in your direction. You can almost feel the eyes upon you.
Standing amongst the Romeros.
As they roam, wandering, taking no notice.
That's just not right. That's got a whole lot of nope all over it. Achira thinks about the oranges again
You
and the
have
fact
two
that she'd be coming
choices.
back empty-handed.
Oranges or no, Achira, you have two choices. If you go to the community, the only way that you know is down the road where that figure stands. If you go back, you head towards the severed head. Those are your choices, Achira, unless you can offer me a third option.
Can't think of a third. The only possible third would just be the method of which I would make one of those two choices. Achira is going to very stealthily try to head back down the path where Papa Bear's head is.
Very well. You have how many competency left?
Because we started off the game with 6 and not 5, I have 2 left.
Good. You have 2 competency points. I want you to make a stealth check. As you climb down from the tree and start to quietly make your way back the way you came. It is early, very early. And in the morning, in the light that is glowing around you and in the mist and the fog, you nimbly slip away, quiet as a mouse. With 4 degrees of success, Achira, you have survived this encounter.
Oh my god.
Congratulations. You are safe. For now. I don't think you know quite how close you were.
She's a slippery little weasel. It wasn't her time just yet.
So it seems. Not your time. Just yet. Juniper, Lampwick, and Abigail, you are quickly moving towards the point on the map where you have to break away from the trail. And as you do, smoke billowing behind you, flames in the distance, the Romeros are following. They are coming for you.
Okay, so we just made them on fire Romeros that are gonna eat us, not just regular ones that would eat us when they're not on fire. Great.
I did my best. I'm sorry. I couldn't think of anything else. I honestly thought they would explode. I didn't know I was going to make it worse.
Is there anything about this that's unusual to us? Like, did we have reason to expect them to not be doing what they're doing?
The Romeros are acting as Romeros often do. You have made enough noise that they are aware of you, and the dead always seem to sense the living. And they seem drawn to not just your sweat, your blood, your pounding hearts, to your fear.
I'm gonna assess my companions, and if there's anything about them that feels out of sorts, I'm going to try to reassure them and calm them down to keep them focused so that they don't start to panic.
I will allow it. Everyone can make a single composure check. I will not impose any difficulty upon it. I don't think you're doing well, Juniper.
Say goodbye to Juniper, everybody.
I'd like to use this skill that I have called Calm Other to help Juniper stay focused and hopefully not falling apart.
Since you're using this ability, Lampwick,
Mm-hmm.
I will lessen the 4 degrees of failure that Juniper is currently undertaking. As you're moving forward, Juniper, you're just watching Olive's face over and over again, reaching out for you as the dead take her and pull her forward, back deeper into that hallway. You couldn't get to her. She's part of you, and you've never been apart from her. You're only family. She's shrieking and crying, and the dead are clawing and pulling her back, and that's all that you can see as the Romeros on the track follow after you, Juniper. Juniper, just go. Just go. Leave me. You have to. I don't care. Go. Go.
I can't leave. I can't. I can't.
Lampwick, you're not sure who Juniper is talking to. I can't. I won't leave you. Tears. The wild girl is babbling as the formation begins to break. You immediately grab onto her, and what do you say to comfort her?
Just stay with me. You can. Just focus ahead, look ahead, and follow Abigail. You've got this. I just keep reassuring her and kind of gently nudge her ahead while I stay in between her and the Romeros that are behind. I'm trying to keep formation while we move ahead.
Everyone dies. Everyone dies.
Not today.
No,
I'm smacking her.
Hey, that's what I say when I'm calming myself. Everyone dies.
Everyone dies.
It's fine.
But not today. Go. Come on.
Let's go.
You reform. Abigail, what are you doing in this moment?
She's pointing her gun back towards the horde to kind of cover them as he's trying to get her to duck up and come along with us. And just thinking about the fire and is in a little bit of a state, keeping it together, but is still very disappointed in herself yet again.
Make a spot listen check, please, Abigail. Your eyes immediately follow across the horizon as you look forward and back at the Romeros. The burning fire catches your eyes again, and your hand involuntarily reaches over to the pack at your side that you always carry with you. The one that carries that book. You don't notice as Achira sneaks up to the group. Achira, you see them moving very haphazardly, and Juniper is screaming, and you have been slipping from tree to tree, and by some thin thread of fate, you have managed to regroup with your companions before they left the train tracks. Because if they'd left that trail, you certainly would have been lost. But you ran the entire way here. And now, no one sees you as you begin to move up. What do you do to announce yourself? There's smoke on the horizon and burning undead, shuffling towards them.
And Juniper's screaming.
I wouldn't call it screaming, but panicking loudly.
The first thing Achira would do is basically pop out of the darkness and smack some sense into Juniper.
Juniper, Achira appears in front of you.
I thought you left. Why is everyone hitting me today?
The fuck? Talk later. Keep moving right now. And I'm reaching into my bag to see if I have, like in case of emergency, a firecracker that I can light and throw to create a distraction. Hopefully, the
It is a
Romeros will head in
makeshift.
there.
It is a makeshift flare. You only have the one.
Is it in the pack?
It is not in your pack.
I'm looking
it's in,
and looking.
It's in Achira's pack.
Where's the fuck? I'm trying to find. I'm digging. I'm starting to slow down to try to find what I know is in my pack, which is that flare to use now.
Really quickly, I came from this direction, and that's not a direction that we want to go. I've got 2 questions. Do you have the oranges?
Yes, we have oranges. Yes, we have the supplies that we were supposed to at least our share of it take to the next town.
2, do you know where else we can go besides the way that I just came?
She's leading. And I point to Juniper as I keep looking back and trying to look for this thing and running at the same time.
Yeah,
Juniper,
we'll get
is there
there.
only one way or is there more than one way? Be honest. We don't got time.
Of course, there's more than one way. It's the open world, dear. I'm just picking the way that is that we'll get there, and we won't die immediately, but we might die eventually. But we'll get there.
Point out the other way, the way that you weren't going to take. And then Achira reaches into her bag for a makeshift flare that she happens to have.
You do. Yes, you took it from him.
Why are you gonna leave us again?
Not right now.
And
And
Eventually.
let's be honest, aren't you a little bit happy to see me? She doesn't wait for an answer. Achira is going to hand the flare over to Lampwick.
I already have a lighter in my hand, ready to light it.
You realize
Or
that this
pull
is
it.
in fact your flare. It has been handed to you. You light it, and it immediately begins to spark and sputter. A very potent green-blue flame begins to shoot off of it. What do you do with it next, Lampwick?
I toss it off to the side, away from us, to hopefully distract the horde that's heading towards us.
Achira's going to point the way that Juniper said that they weren't going to go, or a direction to toss it, which would be the safest route.
I don't have time to overthink this, so I just throw it.
You toss it forward. I'm not going to make you make a roll. It topples over in the air and lands in the middle of the tracks. The dead are drawn to the light and linger just long enough for you and your companions to disappear into the woods together. Juniper, you're leading this group, aren't you? You're
Yeah.
navigating them? Would you make a roll for me?
Okay.
Let's see if you can interpret the map correctly. Pass through the forest away from the town of Hagersfield and safely lead them to this remote farmhouse, this community that you have been sent to by the Ender's Line. That's 4 degrees of failure.
So many.
Since I've been next to Juniper, can I use so I'm I've been clocking my companions and making sure that they're, that I'm motivating them and keeping them on task. Can I use my competency points in any way to help that?
I will allow it this once.
As an assist. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I do have this skill, calm other. If she starts to fall apart, I would employ that, and as needed, I would use as many of my competency points to make that a success.
How many competency points do you have, my friend?
I have all 6 still. I haven't used any.
How about I take 5?
Okay.
That leaves you with a single competency point.
Copy that.
I believe that leaves 2 competency points amongst all of you. Is that correct?
I have 2.
3. Oh, there are still competency points amongst the adventurers. That is excellent. So as the survivors move forward through the forest, you push into the wrong direction, Juniper, and you realize that you had misread the sun. You started to move, and because of the state of mind that you had found yourself on the rail tracks, you had almost allowed yourself to make a horrible mistake. But thanks to Lampwick grabbing you and confirming with you that you knew what you were doing, you reevaluated the map, and you see that you were wrong. The direction that you were going would have led you directly into Hagersfield.
Turn that way, everyone. It's been a real shit day, so I just turn a little bit. Go through the hills. Don't go this way. Thanks, Lampwick.
Let's get the fuck out of here.
Agreed.
How are you traveling? Quickly and efficiently, or quietly, taking your time?
I vote for quietly. Although it all depends on what the rest of the party feels.
I think that if we're in the clear, we should slow down because there is a chainsaw dude out here somewhere.
There's a what?
Well, there's that guy that slaughtered our friends. He's
Yeah,
got to be
right.
out here somewhere.
What the hell was that thing?
I think I might have had an interaction with that person.
It's a human?
Yeah, that.
I don't know. I'd like to not think so. Where I camped for the night, the road back that I traveled, Papa Bear's severed head was waiting for me in the morning. So obviously I was tracked at night, and it was placed there for me to see when I got up. And in the distance, there was something humanoid, huge, standing at peace amongst Romeros. Romeros were not bothering it, and it was staring straight at me.
So we have super Romeros now, or what? Just like extra big sized that can use weapons?
I don't know what we have. I do know that we have these oranges that need to go to a certain location, so that's what we need to focus on.
Yep.
Agreed. I'll stay in the back of you guys and keep a lookout. You keep eyes on front, I'll keep eyes on behind. Just everyone calm and slow, I guess, right?
All right.
I think I'll stay off to the side. I don't really like people on my back. I think we already know this. I'll cover my own 6, thank you.
Look, hey,
And when we have a chance, I'd like my share of the oranges.
no. Well, when we have a chance, I'd like my shit back because you pulled out
You
something
got
that
your
belonged to
shit
me.
back. You
No.
left your pack
Look,
in the
listen,
middle of the road.
listen. We're back together. We're minus 3 people. We have to cut the fucking bullshit. Okay? It's either all of us in this together or we're all fucked. So
I
cut that
got you
crap.
your pack back. You were going to leave it in the road. So what if some items fell out? And I might have picked those up.
Mhm. Well, I'd like to get that back. Now's not the time to have this discussion. We need to stick together and
And
head
I
where we're
think you
heading
would understand the
quietly.
concept of commission. But yes, right now we are together.
Right. Okay. Then that doesn't give you any kind of bargaining at all in terms of the shit that we managed to get out of that shed. You're empty handed. So you're not in a position to call any shots.
How do you think you would have distracted them without my makeshift flare?
We would have figured something out. But
I
look,
guess the point is moot.
moving forward, cut the crap. We're in this together. None of this deception shit. If you need something that belongs to me, then you ask for it. Don't steal my shit. Thank you
Well,
for
then
getting my
don't
pack
drop
back.
it in the road. Don't
Thank
discard
you
it like
for
trash.
getting my pack back. Let's
You are
chill.
welcome. Yes, let's continue forward.
I'll take point.
Juniper, everything is stopped around you. You're holding the ragged bits of map in your hand. One of the crates is strapped into your pack, and 3 of you are heavily burdened by the amount of items that you have acquired in the safe house. You've only taken half of that storehouse that is now gone, but it is slowing you down. And as you look out over your map to the distance of forest beyond you, you hear the argument behind you. And your mind wanders before it is snapped back into reality. Something in the trees just moved.
All right, Mom and Dad, be quiet. There's something up front.
Everyone can make a spot listen check. Difficulty 2 dice. I'm afraid your interaction has distracted you. Not that it wasn't entertaining to watch.
I got 2 successes.
This is why I should travel alone without people.
You've rolled 95. That is 4 degrees of failure. Interesting. Lampwick, you've succeeded. Juniper, you've succeeded. Abigail, could you please roll for me as well? 1 degree success. All of you, even with the degrees of difficulty, do hear things moving in the woods around you. It seems as if something is breaking branches to your right. Achira, you do not hear this. You're quite angry.
I think she's justifiably pissed right now.
Because of this, I will give you an increased difficulty on your next 3 actions.
Would that happen if I spent my last competency points to knock this down to 2 failures instead of 4?
Absolutely. If you lessen the amount of failures that you've made, I will offer no increased difficulty on future rolls.
All right. I'm using him.
And as you do, you hear nothing still, but you will not be hampered because of that.
We do hear it, right? I'm just
Yes,
gonna put my hands
the rest
up.
of you hear it.
Is this a location hazard?
It is
That's
not.
going to be my number 1 thing.
It is not a location hazard.
Got
You
it.
are traveling.
The world is a location hazard. right now.
No, it is a fair question, and it is an ability that Achira has that definitely makes things more survivable. So I
It's
will never deny
literally
you
my
that.
one ability.
Please ask it every time.
Literally my one.
In the world of Outbreak Undead, you need every advantage you can get, and I will not deny those advantages to you. Now then, we've already established that Achira is fairly oblivious of the situation. The rest of you do hear this. I need to know what your three intentions are. What do you do?
I'm going to pull my gun out and kind of face it towards the area that I'm hearing the noise from and see if I can like look down the scope and see if I see anything.
You look down the scope of the gun against the trees. You see the browns and reds of the slowly changing leaves, the bark and the bits of dried grass that shoot up around this lush, verdant, dying forest. What are you doing, Lampwick?
I'm stopping and putting my hand up so that we can all kind of stop moving, and I'm putting my attention exactly where at first for Abigail, where we heard it and seeing what she's doing, but then I'm also going to kind of scan around, because just because we heard something from there doesn't mean that there isn't anything, other things around us. So I'm going to kind of look around and see if I notice anything else.
Good. So that is a spot listen from Abigail, a spot listen from Lampwick. Juniper, what are you doing? Everyone else has stopped.
I'm gonna. I think it would be to my advantage to climb a tree and take out my bow and arrow to try to get a better view and a clear shot if something comes running out of the woods.
You're repositioning yourself. I understand. So make a climb check for me, please.
Yes.
I'm not offering any additional difficulty to any of these tasks. Achira, you will be able to act after the next intention is resolved. Everyone has succeeded in their tasks, and given the speed dice, we'll say that Juniper climbs up the tree first. You make your way up, and then you pull out your bow and arrow and start to prepare yourself for what must be certainly more Romeros pulling themselves towards you, but you have yet to see anyone. Lampwick, you've stopped. Abigail, you have your scope out, and you're moving across, and then you see two figures. Dark forms in the forest, moving forward towards you. And you hear, "Oh, children of the valley, walking hand in hand. Oh, the children of the valley, walking hand in hand. Fear not the darkness, children. I will lead you home. Oh, children of the valley, walk with me. Hello there." The voice of an old woman rings out in the forest. Another figure is next to her, leaning heavily upon her. She walks with a cane and is dressed in clean clothes, a black dress and boots. She has a white lace collar, and her gray-white hair is pinned back in a neat bun. Next to her is a pale, balding young man with large, sickly looking eyes, holding heavily onto his shoulder as he also leans upon this old woman. Is someone there? Hello there?
I put my hand on Lampwick's shoulder or whoever's closest to me and kind of give the face.
I
I
keep my
acknowledge.
arrow. Oh, sorry.
All right. So I need intentions from everybody. So we've heard what Abigail is doing. Juniper, what are you doing?
I keep my arrow trained on the old woman.
Lampwick?
I'm acknowledging Abigail's nudge, and I'm keeping quiet and observing.
Achira, what is your intention in this moment? As now you are aware that, seemingly out of nowhere, an old woman and a young man have appeared in the forest.
It's immediate stealth and flanking. She still has her hand scythe out.
All right. I'm not going to impose any additional speed dice, and your difficulty to hide from an old woman is not very high. So I would ask you now to make a stealth roll, Achira. Abigail, Lampwick, the same if you're trying to remain unseen. Juniper, you're already hidden, so I won't make you make a stealth check. However, do you fire your bow, or do you wish to be prepared to do so?
I am preparing to do so if need be.
Roll for me your skill with ranged attack. You will not fire. We are simply preparing you. Achira, you have 1 degree of success. Congratulations. You disappear behind a tree quickly. You are unseen. Lampwick, how did you do? 2 degrees of success? No. Have you rolled?
I have not rolled. I wanted to. Are they far enough? How far away are they? I wanted to perhaps detect motives to see if I can observe whether there's something peculiar about them or if they're threatening. I don't see why they would seem threatening, but they're singing and that's weird.
Make a roll for me.
All right.
Juniper, you fumble with your bow as you're preparing, thrown off by the song of this old woman. You will not be able to fire as you had hoped, as your precarious seat in this tree makes it difficult for you to be prepared. You may be able to fire, perhaps, next round, but you will be of no help now, with 2 degrees of failure. Lampwick, you're detecting motive from this distance, and I'm sorry, they were singing. Or rather, the old woman was singing. Perhaps she's senile. Or perhaps it's how she comforts her companion. You're uncertain as to what it means.
Well, that was what I decided to do instead of stealth. So if that blows my cover.
It does not blow your cover. However, Abigail steps behind a tree and a large twig snaps, and there is a cracking noise. I will now make a spot listen check. Can't make this up.
Old lady's gonna outroll us all.
The old lady rolled 3%.
No.
Wow.
I typically don't talk about my dice rolls, but this is particularly interesting to me in this moment.
She's Hawkeye.
So she is a killer.
Damn.
We mean you no harm. The good grace that is abundant in these lands protects us, and we need help. I have good trade and good word, if and you wish to hear it. I have the faith upon me. It is the good word of the prophet that I bring. You need not hide, for though you are sinners, as all are in these end of days, I offer you the gift of salvation.
Hmm. Okay. I'm gonna take a step forward, and I'm gonna say, "Hello, friend. We are just passing through. We also mean you no harm."
Achira intends to flank the younger of the two. Her hand scythe is still out, just in case.
The old woman is perhaps in her 70s, maybe even older. It's a true rarity in these times to see an elder of this age. The young man is in his mid-20s, perhaps. It's hard to tell. His receding hairline makes him look a little bit older, but he also has a baby face and red cheeks. His eyes, though, are lolling.
Huh.
I do not know what to say, other than that young acolyte Sammy here has fallen ill. Now, he's not been bit by those abominations that rattle at our doors at night. No, not that. Sammy's a good boy. I just seek to find medical care for him. Are any of you doctors, or have some medical curatives upon you, perhaps? I can pay you in some trade. I will make it worth your while.
No doctors here, I'm sorry. What is the affliction that your friend has?
It is a sour stomach, I believe. I've heard some rumors of a flu moving through. Not the flu that took the lives of all those sinners that brought the fire and the brimstone down. No, nay. Just the Lord's own touch to make us all stronger, yeah?
Definitely taking a step back and making sure that they do not get close to me.
They have made no move closer towards you.
Okay.
Abigail steps out from behind the tree, looking a little disheveled after the speak of salvation, kind of clinging to her hip with her hand, not her gun, but her other pocket, and breathes deep and walks out and looks at the boy. And we don't have any doctors, but I suppose we could pray.
Ah, a rare flower here in the wilderness, a woman of faith. This is a blessed day. Hallelujah. We are joined in the light. Have you heard the good word of the prophet?
I've heard many words.
I'm so glad to hear it. My old heart is full to bursting now. Please let us pray over good Sammy. He is an acolyte who's good and true, and my only guardian in this hellish landscape, I'm afraid.
I yell down from the tree. How do you get so old? Shouldn't you be dead? I've never seen an old lady this old before in my whole life.
Yeah, she looks like ragged old paper.
But she's clean.
Clean.
Achira appears behind the two of them on the other side of the group and goes, can we just have this conversation anywhere else? Lest we forget they are amongst here and in the trees. I have some rudimentary first aid, very rudimentary, that I could do if you have any med kits or anything like that, but I will not do this here.
I have 2 gold bars if you take us with you.
Abigail grabs Achira's hand and says, "Don't get close. Don't get close enough to get infected. We will all get sick. We don't know what he has. We have
Achira
to
looks.
do it this way. And to be honest, I don't know how I feel about this, but it seems to help them."
Does he look
As
bad?
as you finish this exchange amongst yourselves, as you whisper amongst each other, the old woman has gone back to first humming and then singing. Oh, children of the valley, walking hand in hand. And we leave you there tonight, in the middle of the forest, with an elderly woman and a harmed, sickly young man, with the Romeros not too far away. You are not safely at your destination. You are still on the road. And while you have survived the night, I can only wonder, what will the day bring? I want to thank everyone who made this possible tonight. We will be back again next Tuesday. Good night.